If you like jigs, efficiency, and projects for a good cause, then I think you'll like what's coming up. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of DP Shop Talk. Now today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today is going to be kind of a casual, unscripted shop hangout, if you will. I'm going to show you the project that I'm working on, that I have been working on for a while on a volunteer basis, and kind of give you the backstory on it, and then show you the next steps to the next parts of the jig system that I'm working on. So a little bit about the backstory to start with. This is for the IWK Children's Hospital in Halifax, and the reason that I got involved with the hospital is last year our youngest daughter, had 2 open heart surgeries when she was only 5 months old, and so we have a tremendous appreciation for the work that's done at that hospital and the amazing team of people that work there and volunteer there. So we have a lot to be thankful for. Our daughter is doing very well now and continues to be monitored there, but just a fantastic place. So after we had that experience last year, I found out about a volunteer program that's at the IWK run through the Rotary Club. And so what we do is build chairs and tables and therapy aids and whatever is required for the kids that are in the hospital, whatever they have need of. So I got involved in that program last winter, and so since then we've kind of started to develop a series of templates for some of the standard items that we make. So this one here is for the standard chair, which is kind of fully adjustable, so it can be adjusted as the child grows and can kind of be customized somewhat as well depending on their needs. So I'll show you the jig components that I've come up with so far, and then kind of show you the next step, the next parts that I need to make for the seats and the backs, and you can kind of watch what I'm doing with that. Now, the program, like, we volunteer once a week. There's one crew on Monday night, one crew on Tuesday night. I'm usually part of the Tuesday night crew, and so we work in the wood shop, which is in the basement of the hospital. So I've been working on this in my own shop, kind of in between volunteer sessions, just to try and get a little bit more done on it, and then bring it back to the hospital. So I'm hoping to get a video done at some point actually in the wood shop of the IWK, and kind of show you what goes on there. But for now, I'll kind of show you what's going on with these templates in my own shop. So I'll bring the camera a little closer and show you how these templates work. So for these chair templates, there's basically 2 sizes of chairs that we make, and like I said, they're adjustable. So it's whether the child is younger or older determines which size of chair is made. So both template systems are the same, just different sizes. So this is the bigger one, this is the smaller one. So I'll just kind of talk about one. So for the actual chair sides, I've made a template out of 2 layers of 1/2-inch Baltic birch. So what will happen is a rough cut chair side, or actually 2, and I wrote 2 at one time. They'll get attached, so they'll be cut a little bit bigger than the actual template, get screwed onto the template, and then on the router table with a tall template bit with a double bearing, that's why I've gone with a double thickness here, just to have more bearing surface on there, that will get routed on the router table to make all the chair sides exactly the same, and they're all a perfect match. So then those get taken off the template, and now you have chair sides ready to use. So then the chair sides get put in this jig, which is double-sided, because these slots here are for routing shallow dados, which will be for the seat and for the back. that go in there. So I needed to make it double-sided, because to make a matching pair of sides, you need to have the dados both on the inside, obviously, so you need to be able to route from both sides. So the chair side will register into the jig. Obviously just one thickness of it. This is just the double thick template. Fits into the jig, and then there'll be two different setups. One setup for the dados, there'll be a plywood dadoing bit which matches the thickness of the Baltic. That will be used with a 5/8 inch guide bushing on the bottom of the router, so the router base will sit on the MDF cleats, and this guide bushing will fit in and slide along in these dados, or sorry, in the slots to create the dados. And then with another setup, with a 5/16 bit, these holes are going to be for threaded inserts that get put in, so that there's like basically jig knobs that get put on for the adjustable components. So the same 5/8 inch guide bushing will fit in those holes, and then the router will plunge down and create those. So those holes will match up with, to start with, the legs. So the legs will be fully adjustable. So this is the template for the legs themselves. So the blank will fit in there, which will be just a little bit taller, and then with a template bit, the rounded corners on the top will get routed. And then again with the 5/8 inch guide bushing, that will fit into the holes, and sort of like a shelf pin hole jig basically. Create 1/4 inch holes so that the 1/4-20 hardware can go through. So when those legs get created, they match up with the two holes here, basically in any two holes, so that the legs can be adjusted up and down. And then the arm, or the arm support brackets, which basically fasten onto the two outside faces of the chair. This is the jig for those. So basically, the arm support will fit in there, and then again the adjustable holes will be routed. These slots, again with the 5/8 inch bushing, will fit in there. And what that does is create slots so that pads can be added to the inside faces of them. So if the child's body is a little bit narrower and they need a little bit more support, then pads can be added, and those pads can be slid up and down as well. So that's the jig for that. So basically the next step that I need to do is create jigs for the seat and the back, that fit into these dados, to put standardized slots in those, because the pieces that fit into the dados are basically the structure of the chair and the backers, and then there's another layer of plywood that gets upholstered, that gets added on to the back and to the seat, and so that will slide up and down and back and forth. So those grooves for adjustability need to be made in there. So I'll start into that process, and you can watch along as I build that. So I'll give you a quick idea of what I'm going to be working on today. Like I said, the jigs for basically the structure pieces of the seat and the back that the upholster pieces get added onto later. So I got a couple pieces here, because again, this is going to be for the big chair and the small chair, so there's going to be two different templates for the two different sizes. So there'll be the smaller template, it'll have the two slots in it, and then a 2-inch wide border of Baltic birch, so that the actual workpiece gets registered into that, and then you can use the template guide and plunge through and make the slots. Now those slots will be a little bit wider than 5/8, because we find that you need the finish slot in the workpiece to be a little bit wider than 1/4 inch, because after the finish or the paint gets applied, it tends to clog that up a little bit, and so to have it slide freely, you need to go a little bit beyond 1/4 inch wide. So I'll cut these pieces to final size first. Like I said, they're just roughed out, and rip some strips of 2-inch stock. And then we'll route the slots, and then there's also a jig that I want to make out of these pieces that will basically register over the pieces with the upholstery on them to allow the holes to be plunged through the 5/16 holes for the threaded inserts. So that will be in the pieces that actually get the upholstery. So those will slide back and forth on the pieces that we're going to create here. So I hope that this is somewhat clear as to how the chair goes together. When the template system's done, I want to do a video showing the whole thing in action and a finished chair. And like I said, a video in the actual IWK shop as well. So we'll go to the table saw and get some of this stuff cut to size. So I've got all the parts cut to size and just finished laying out all the slots in the two jigs. So I'll get the plunge router set up with a 1/2-inch spiral cutting bit and an edge guide, and we'll get that set up here on the MPT and get those milled. So I've got the plunge router all set up with a 1/2-inch spiral bit in it and the edge guide mounted as well. So to make the slots, what I'm doing is just taking a sacrificial piece of plywood to back it with so I can plunge right through without damaging the top of the MPT. So we'll just clamp that down. Now this is where I found, like I mentioned before, having the holes in the top of the MPT really handy, since you can set the clamps in anywhere you want. I mean, that's similar to any style work table like this, like the Festool MFT3 or anything like that has the system of holes. So with that clamped down, I'll get the edge guide set up. Now the setback on both of these jigs for all 4 slots is the same. They're different sizes overall, but the setback from the edge stays consistent. So one setup will do all 4. So I'll kind of slide it in here as far as I can. Lock that down. And then we'll slide it in. I like this this edge guide because it's got the micro adjust on it, so you can dial in your setting very precisely. So that works really well. So right about there. So what I'll do is take one pass, because it's a 1/2-inch bit, I'm looking for 5/8 of an inch plus. Because like I mentioned earlier, I want that guide bushing to have a little bit of slop in there, so you take one pass down one side of the groove and then the second pass down the opposite side of the groove to make that a little wider than 5/8, so that the finished groove will be a little wider than 1/4 inch, so that the 1/4-20 hardware will slide nice and easily back and forth. So that is all set up, so we'll get the dust extractor set up and make that first cut. I'll do the same cut in the other 3, and then we'll come back and reset it for the final width that we want and make those cuts as well. So I went ahead and routed the rest of the 4 slots, or sorry, the rest of the 3 slots to make the 4 total. And I also adjusted the edge guide to give me that little bit more than 5/8 width that I was looking for. So I took that second pass. So now the bushing has a little bit of slop in there, so it'll make a groove that's a little bit wider than 1/4 inch overall, which is exactly what we're looking for. And here's proof that I do get dirty in my shop. I've had some people comment and say, your shop's so clean, your shop's so clean. Do you ever make any mess in there? Yes, I do. And you may have noticed that I'm wearing a different shirt today too than I usually do. This is my getting dirty shirt. I don't have a huge collection of shirts, but the other one is my favorite. Works well because a pocket for my remote for the camera, somewhere to clip my mic, and you're all good to go. So I'll get the cleats that I cut earlier and get set up with the brad nailer, and we'll get those attached, which will register the actual workpiece in the jig to route the slots. So I've got all the 2-inch cleats together that I cut earlier, so we'll get those glued and nailed on, and that's what will actually register the the final workpiece in place to route the 1/4 inch grooves. So I'll put a little bit of glue on, just enough to keep it from going anywhere. Now I sized the main pieces of the jig so that when these cleats are cut exactly 2 inches wide, that'll give me my finished dimension inside that I'm looking for, which matches the finished size of the work pieces. Got some 3/4 inch brads in here so that they won't go through. Hate that when you nail your work to your work table. A lot of people have wondered if I'm sponsored by Bosch, because you probably noticed that I have a lot of Bosch gear in my shop, and I'm not. I just happen to really like Bosch gear. It's worked really well for me. And I'm part of the Be the Pro contractor forum, and I've gotten a lot of Bosch tools through the rewards program on that as well, so that's certainly been a big help in the gear that I've gotten over the years. And on the topic of the IWK, Bosch and the members of the Be the Pro forum have been very generous in donating a lot of Bosch tools for the IWK workshop. So if I get the chance to do a video in the shop there at some point, you'll get to see all that. And also I'll put a link in the video description below for a thread that I keep up to date. I try to do it every week if I can, with kind of the latest projects that are going on in the IWK shop and what the latest news is. So if you're interested in checking that out and kind of seeing more of the story behind it as well, you can check out that link. Bosch has certainly impressed me with their generosity and just how they conduct themselves as a company. And like I said, they make great tools. So it's not that I'm sponsored in any way by Bosch. It's just that I'm a big fan. And the tools have certainly worked very well for me. A lot of my older gear like this is Porter Cable. I bought a lot of Porter Cable stuff back in the day when it was still all made in the US, and that was good gear as well. So that's the finished jig for this side. So I'll go ahead and get the other cleats nailed on, and then we'll take a look at the narrow jigs that will mate to the pieces that actually get upholstered. So there's going to be 2 5/16 holes in that for the threaded inserts. So that will kind of work in conjunction with these jigs to make both the structure pieces for the seats and the backs, as well as the pieces that go on top that get upholstered that slide back and forth and up and down. So we'll take a look at that in just a minute. The last two jigs that we'll be making today are these. So basically the idea is there's a cleat on each side, and then I'm going to drill 2 5/8 inch holes that are the same set back in as the grooves that we made in the other jigs. So then this will sit down over either the seat or the back that get upholstered, and allow that same 5/8 inch bushing from the plunge router to fit in and plunge down for the 5/16 holes for the threaded inserts. So the same as the other ones, we'll just glue and brad nail them on. Flush it up on the end. So again, it's sized so that that the overall length of it minus the 2-inch width on each cleat gives the exact inside dimension that we need for the workpiece. Flush that up there. And there we go. So I'll nail the other one on and lay out the holes, and then we'll go over to the drill press and drill those out. So I've laid out the 2 center points for the 5/8 inch holes that we need. So those are set back 2.5 inches to the center, the same as the grooves that we made, and then centered in the width. So I'll drill those out on the drill press with a 5/8 inch Forstner bit. So then that will sit over top of the seat or the back piece, like I was saying, and the plunge router will just sit on top, plunge the holes down, and that's how that works. Now, just a quick shop tip while we're at the drill press. I've had this in my shop for years. I downloaded it online as a PDF years ago from Wood Magazine, and it's got drill press speeds for just about every kind and diameter of bit. I find it's super handy at the drill press. Rather than kind of guessing at what the best speed is for a bit, you can just look it up on the chart. It's got all different materials, and then, like I say, all different kinds of bits. So if you look that up online, if you find the need for knowing what speed to set your drill press at, I just pin it on the wall behind, and whenever I'm using a bit, I'll just look up the speed and set it accordingly. So that's a really handy thing to have. So that finishes off the 4 jigs that we've been working on today. So the 2 for making the 5/16 holes, which take just a 3-pronged 1/4-20 threaded insert, so they just get tapped into the hole and lock in, and that's what the 1/4-20 hardware with the knobs and everything for the adjustment works with. And then, of course, the 2 jigs with the slots that allow for the back and forth adjustment. So the only jigs that are left to do for these chair setups are the jigs for the actual armrest plates themselves. So they sit on top of the vertical pieces that I was showing you the jigs for earlier. So once I get those done, I'll have pictures of those up on the thread on the Be the Pro forum. Like I mentioned, the link is in the video description below, so if you want to check that out and follow that. And the Be the Pro forum in general, if you're a professional yourself and you're interested in that, it's a really great community. Like I said, they've been very generous and helpful in bringing together tool donations for the IWK workshop. And like I mentioned, the IWK really has a special place in my family. My wife and I spent about 7 weeks in the hospital with our daughter since she's been born, and like I said, the 2 open heart surgeries. They're just a phenomenal team of people there. So it's something that's very important to us, and so volunteering with this program is a great way to be able to give back, and something that I really enjoy helping out with. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, something a little more informal and just kind of a shop hangout, let me know in the comments, and maybe I can make some more of them. If it's not your cup of tea, then fair enough. So I hope that you've maybe learned something, and it's been fun just to hang out. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And leave your comments below, any ideas and thoughts that you have. And until next time, let's talk shop.